The jungle holds many secrets. Deep within its green embrace, life and death dance a silent, eternal waltz. Sunlight struggles to pierce the thick canopy, leaving the forest floor in a perpetual state of twilight. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig sends a ripple of awareness through its inhabitants. It's a world governed by ancient rules, where survival is the only law that matters. Here, in this primal kingdom, walks a creature of breathtaking power, terrifying beauty. It moves with a grace that belies its deadly intent. A silent predator cloaked in stripes of fire and stripes of night. This is the domain of the tiger, the undisputed king of this realm. To see a tiger in the wild is an experience that changes you forever. The tiger's eyes, like molten gold, lock onto yours. It strips away all pretense of human superiority. You are merely flesh and bone. Imagine you are walking along a familiar path. The sun is setting, casting long, dark shadows across the trail. But tonight, something feels different. An unnatural quiet has descended, a silence that feels heavy and watchful. A cold prickle of unease crawls up your spine. You tell yourself it's just your imagination, but your senses are screaming that you are no longer alone. You feel a gaze upon you, intense and predatory. The hunter has become the hunted. Why does a tiger, an animal that typically avoids human contact, decide to attack? This is a question that haunts every community living under the shadow of the great cat. Often, the story begins not with aggression, but with desperation. An old or injured tiger, unable to hunt its usual prey of deer or wild boar, may be driven by starvation to seek easier targets. The village of Rampur was like many others, nestled on the edge of the great Indian jungle. Life here moved at the pace of the seasons, dictated by the planting and harvesting of rice. And they knew that when the sun began its descent, the forest's most dangerous secret began to stir. An old man, Hari, sat on his porch, mending a fishing net. Something in the silence of this evening made the hairs on his arms stand up. In a hut near the forest's edge, Leela was preparing the evening meal. Her eldest, a boy of 6 named Rohan, was playing just outside the open doorway, chasing fireflies with a small stick.
Rohan, come inside now, it is getting dark.
The boy, lost in his game, pretended not to hear. He giggled as a tiny bug blinked its light just beyond his reach, luring him a few steps further from the safety of the hut. It was a drag, a soft, shuffling sound, a choked-off cry. It was a sound so unnatural, so full of sudden terror, that it bypassed her brain and shot straight into her heart. She burst out of the doorway, her heart pounding a frantic rhythm against her ribs. The spot where Rohan had been playing was empty, and then she saw it. A flash of bright orange, a flash of stark black, disappearing into the impenetrable darkness. It was a sight that would be burned into her memory forever. The tiger.
Scream. A sound tore from Leela's throat, a sound of pure, primal anguish. It was a cry of such profound horror and despair that it sliced through the evening stillness and echoed across the entire village.
They knew that cry. It was the sound they all dreaded, the sound that meant the tiger had come. The men gathered quickly, their faces grim in the flickering light of hastily lit torches. Their weapons were not guns, but tools of their trade.
Harry, his age giving him a natural authority, took charge. Stay together, make noise, keep the flames high, do not run.
They moved as one, a phalanx of flickering light and shouting men. The jungle immediately swallowed them. They were marching into the heart of their deepest fears, their torchlight carving a small, fragile bubble of safety in an ocean of darkness. Back in the village, the women and children huddled together. They just listened. Leela was inconsolable, rocked back and forth by waves of grief and terror. Tonight, Leela's nightmare was their own. Suddenly, a new sound cut through the night. It was a sharp, urgent cry. The women in the clearing held their breath, their hearts frozen. The men were coming back. As they drew closer, the villagers could see their faces. They were not carrying the boy. They had found the tiger. They had scared it away, but they were too late. The Sundarbans is a place like no other on Earth. It is a shifting, breathing labyrinth. Into this world came a lone honey collector named Ananda. For generations, his family had ventured into the Sundarbans to harvest the precious mangrove honey. But most of all, he knew about the tigers. The tigers of the Sundarbans were different. They were notorious man-eaters, perfectly adapted to this amphibious world. He felt a strange stillness descend, the same kind of watchful quiet that always precedes a storm. Ananda froze, every nerve in his body screaming a warning. He knew that panic was a death sentence. To run, to make a sudden move, would be to trigger the attack. Then he saw it, a single vertical black stripe against a patch of rich orange fur. A huge male, low in a crouch, its muscles coiled like powerful springs. It was looking directly at him. Its eyes were amber flames burning with a cold, calculating intelligence. It was the stare of death itself. He had to change the rules of the encounter. Slowly, deliberately, he began to lower himself over the side of the boat, into the thick, cloying mud of the creek bed. The mud was cold and foul-smelling. It sucked at his legs, trying to pull him down. This was his gamble. In the mud, he was no longer an easy, upright target. The tiger was confused. It stepped forward, paws sinking into the soft earth of the bank. It let out another growl, louder now, laced with frustration. Ananda remembered the old wisdom. A human mask on the back of his head, the honey collector's trick. He began to walk backwards, slowly, deliberately. He presented the animal with a confusing, impossible picture, a man who could see in all directions. The tiger let out a frustrated snort. It hesitated, weighing the risk. The sun began to set. With the last of his strength, he hauled his mud-caked body over the side. He collapsed on the boat floor. He could no longer see the tiger, but he could feel it. Its oppressive presence, a silent promise it had not given up. He listened to strange, alien nocturnal sounds. He imagined the tiger swimming silently through black water, its amber eyes searching. Then the first gray light of dawn broke through the canopy. He was still alive. He had survived. A tiger does not wake up in the morning wanting to hunt a human. This is not its nature. The first and most common reason is a simple, tragic one: desperation. It is a story of hunger. It is a story of pain. This tiger can no longer keep up with the fast, strong prey it once dominated. Every failed hunt pushes it closer to starvation. It sees a person walking from the village, slow and unprotected. It is a risk, but starvation is a certainty. The choice for the tiger becomes tragically simple. Sometimes it is simply a terrible, tragic mistake. A person crouching down can be mistaken for a four-legged animal, a prey animal. From the tiger's low vantage point, it doesn't see a person. It sees a shape and size that is remarkably similar to a deer or a wild pig. This is why local traditions are so vital. The honey collectors of the Sundarbans wear masks on the back of their heads. The tiger, believing it is being watched, is often confused and deterred. It is a catastrophic convergence of two worlds, a misunderstanding where the consequences are swift and final. In the villages that border the great forests, traditions of defense were born. They began building watchtowers. Every night, a team of men climbed the towers. Their job, be the village's eyes and ears, to make a barrier of light and sound. Imagine sitting in a tower. The night is vast and black. Your eyes strain to pierce the dark. It builds unity, watching over neighbors, friends, families, a collective effort, a shared responsibility for survival. While ancient traditions provide one line of defense, modern science is offering another. Conservationists are now able to track tigers. As the tiger moves closer to a village, its signal crosses a virtual boundary, a geofence. This triggers an alert. Instantly, a text message can be sent. This is not a vague warning. It is real-time, actionable intelligence. Villagers are prepared, not surprised. The element of surprise, the tiger's greatest weapon, is taken away. Perhaps the most powerful solution is a change in mindset. In many communities, a new generation of local heroes is emerging. They are often called tiger guardians. They run awareness programs in village schools, teaching children and adults about tiger behavior. They learn how to respond when a tiger kills livestock, helping the farmer to get compensation, which reduces the anger and desire for revenge. Their work is, honestly, incredibly brave. They put themselves in dangerous situations armed with little more than their knowledge and their courage. An encounter with a tiger is a moment that burns itself into the soul. For the few who survive, life is never the same again. Ananda returned to his village, but a part of him was left behind in that muddy creek. He had faced the abyss, and it had stared back. The world, which once felt safe and familiar, is now filled with potential threats. The body survived, but the mind is forever altered, rewired by fear. They might develop a profound, almost spiritual respect for the creature. They understand its power, its majesty, in a way that no one else can. A tiger that successfully kills and eats a person may learn a dangerous lesson. This is how a man-eater is created. The forest department, once tasked with its protection, must now hunt it. The animal becomes a target, a problem to be eliminated. The goodwill built up over years can be destroyed by a single tragic event. It is a tragic cycle, a war where there can be no true winners, only loss on both sides. We live on a planet of shrinking wild spaces. The stories are dispatches from the front line of a global conflict, on the razor's edge between humanity and the wild. To walk this line requires a delicate balance. It demands respect for the tiger's power, but also compassion for the people who must live in its shadow. The survival of the tiger is ultimately linked to our own. A world with healthy tiger populations is a world with healthy forests, clean water, and a robust web of life that sustains us all. Coexistence is not a passive state. It is an active, ongoing effort. It is the watchtower in the night, the mask on the back of the head, the GPS collar, and the tireless work of the tiger guardians. In the end, the tiger holds up a mirror to us. The roar of the tiger echoes through the forests as both a warning and an invitation to be better, wiser stewards of our shared home. The future of the tiger and our own future depends on our answer.